It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
Yeah. No fear here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock. Oh, I remember that which matters most. We're still here after fighting a century of war against the machines. Well, we got some machines that we're going to be fighting up against. That's what's going on. Now, we have Susan DeGennaro. Now, am I saying that right, Susan?
It's DeGennaro.
DeGennaro.
Yeah, there you go.
DeGennaro.
Yes.
All right. No, that's your name. We get to say it the way you want. Okay. Now, Susan DeGennaro is a senior-level IT professional with a Master of Education and over 25 years of experience developing and leading both in-person and virtual classroom instruction. Her expertise is in training in the areas of machine learning. What are we going to talk about today? Machine learning engineering, generative artificial intelligence, and cloud computing using current educational methodologies. Her passion is in taking technical concepts and making them accessible, thank you, I appreciate it already, and easily understood by a range of people. Ms. DeGennaro will be speaking on the current wave of AI, like ChatGPT, how it is being used, and its impact on our lives. Now, that's a general introduction. Let me give you mine real quick here.
Sure.
What happened was Susan was speaking at a luncheon that I attend with a bunch of the guys and the friends, and we're all a bunch of anarchist, libertarian, leave us alone-us people. And she's running for city council in Fountain Hills. Fountain Hills is northwest of Scottsdale, Arizona, out in the northeast, over the mountain, and it's very isolated. It's out in freaking awesome views. You know, it's the big, homes on the acre, 2 acre, 3 acre, whatever in the desert of UC Arizona. This is it. Okay, this is it. Now, Fountain Hills we've had experience with before, and to have someone like Susan running for city council there, one, why? But better than what we got. I mean, So this is what I was excited to talk to Susan. We had to reschedule. She had some illness. We got scheduled, got whatever. Finally, here she is. So a couple weeks late, but this is what's on. When she talks, she goes to the big corporations. It's the Intels, Googles, Microsoft, that kind of stuff. Talks on the application of artificial intelligence into their business. But she made it very clear, I do not put artificial intelligence on my personal devices, and my kids are so not allowed. I mean, that kind of thing. So there wasn't enough time to really grill her and me do the 15 zillion whys. But so I asked her if we reschedule, can we get 2 hours? An hour's just not going to do it. So we're going to go until she's boring or bored, and I'm sure it's going to be at least 2 hours. And we're going to talk about artificial intelligence. My experience, I played with ChatGPT when it first came out, and OpenAI, it's crap. Give me pictures of the founding fathers, and they're all black. I mean, it's just, you could tell it was being messed with big time. So what happened was I lost interest. It's just another tool of the man. Elon Musk comes out and goes, oh, no, it's a truth-seeking engine. It's truth. It's all about the truth, and we get the truth, and you want the truth, we have the truth. And I'm going, okay, I'll download Grok last October. Well, this is when it had 3 point whatever the hell. As time goes on, I spent 16 hours before I finally called BS on it, because I kept asking why. Why did you use that word? Why did you use that phrase? Why do you say why? What's your source kind of thing? But I really was more interested in how it came to the decision to use certain phrases, words, or referencing different things. Well, of course, it's programming. It's coding, it's guardrails, it's whatever. As time went on, it got worse and worse because they want to craft it, they, them, those, the tech bros, whoever, the ones that won't leave us alone, they are using it not just as a surveillance thing or archive all your whatever the hell. It's a gaslighting engine. It's to manipulate you. It's to shift general public opinion towards whatever it is that they, them, those want. And that became obvious just a couple of weeks ago. And I was like, what the crap? So this is why I need the extra hour with Susan. We're going to go over all this stuff. So I'm going to give it to Susan, fill in the gaps on your intro here. And I don't even want to talk about Fountain Hills. We'll get to that later.
Okay.
'Cause I got to know why. But anyway, so we'll find out. But this is a story of a woman that is versed in artificial intelligence. It's her business. It's her livelihood. She goes to these large corporations and I would imagine instructs them on how they can best use the tools to augment their labor pool of save money and make money of something. Well, for you to come out and warn the group, a couple dozen people, and they're educated, accomplished, great doctors, lawyers, judges, entrepreneurs, activists, whatever people. About 3/4 of them, I love AI. AI is the best thing, been very good to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, I can see the benefit. I use it as a tool for, how's my inverter acting up and why, or something like that. But, when you get into philosophical stuff or into, oh my goodness, you ask its opinion or something, it's got one for you. And I want you to have it. And I'm like, man, I started getting the EBGB. So I knew that there wasn't time for Susan and I to talk unless I could get her on the show and share it with you guys, because you need to know this stuff. What does the audience need to know? Give you a little bit of your background, and the only thing I'm going to ask is why, So go ahead and, do your background, what your profession is, and how it is that you came to this decision to not put it on your personal devices.
Oh, okay.
Go.
All right. Well, a little bit more about me. I've been doing technical training for about 25 years now. I actually started out in mainframe computing, doing COBOL and JCL and Talon and assembler, like all of the mainframe kind of stuff. And I've transitioned over to more object-oriented programming. Why does that all matter to you? Because as I moved from one technology to the next, learning about it is one thing, being able to train other people in it is another. So that's what I became quite versed at, being able to take that technical information and break it down.
Was that your goal from the beginning? Because
the interesting thing
bio
is,
engineering and tech and so on. How did your training morph into IT?
Well, the training,
no,
it went the other way. Like I started out actually in accounting and in business administration and education. That's my master's is in actually education administration. So I was always an educator. I was always, my family is in education. My mother was a teacher. My sister's a college professor. My other sister's a college professor. It's just education was always something that we were really well versed in as a family. So when I started moving into tech and learning about all of this technology, I was able to take the opportunities when they presented to me to educate others. And it got to be to the point where it was like, oh, well, we have this training arm in this company that I used to work for. I think you'd really fit well here. And so I just started doing that. A lot of the technologies that I ended up teaching were things that I taught myself and then was able to teach other people. One of the things I think I do rather well is taking those complex ideas, and once I get to know my students, and know their background, it's easier for me to be able to identify what they need to know, how I need to present it to them. So I got to be pretty good in that. And I actually got a
But that was
job.
internal, the corporation you were working for.
Well, one of them was. It was a company that I worked for that I started doing technical training, a small computer consulting firm called NIMS. They don't even exist anymore. But sad part of the story, I lost my husband after him being in the hospital for 2.5 years, and I
Mm.
didn't want to work for anybody else anymore. And thankfully, I had gotten myself enough reputation in the industry that I just hung out my own shingle and decided to just work for whoever would hire me. Now, that went well for a while, but I had a young child, so I went back into the corporate world. I started working for State Farm, but I was doing technical training for them. I trained most of their computer programmers. And then I went to work for AWS, Amazon Web Services. And that's really when the ball started rolling into
All right.
this machine learning, machine engineering, and all of that stuff, because Amazon Web Services is mirrored in cloud computing. So one of my goals as a instructor for them was to learn everything about that I could about all of their services. And at the time that I was working there, they started moving into machine learning engineering, and that was the first step.
What
So
year
I,
was this?
and that was 4 years ago. What year is it? 26, so like 22.
So middle of COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. 22, 23, and I started getting machine learning engineering certifications as well as other certifications with
Who gives those certifications? Where would you get your training for that
so
cert?
that's a good question because different certifications come from different companies. Amazon Web Services does their own set of certifications, their own question answer. It's a very all of their certifications are pretty difficult. So I have a solution architect pro with them. I have a machine learning specialty with them. I have a developer specialty. Trying to think what else I have currently.
You got
Uh,
all the pieces of
so,
paper.
well, I have the ones that allow me to do the and have the cred to say that I do what I do. And then there's another company called Databricks that I do a lot of work with. And again, I've gotten all the certifications with them, data analyst, data engineering, machine learning engineering, generative AI engineering. And so each of them have a set of tests that um, you have to pass in order for you to be able to say that you know enough about their technology in order to get a job doing that, or in my case, teach what it is.
Okay, now let me ask this question.
Sure.
You're getting these certifications,
Hmm.
and a lot of time, as an example, a friend of mine's son graduated ASU, supercomputer geek of whatever. When we were out there, we're hanging, we happened to be there, and him and his friends and so on. And there were a bunch of Google cards that were strung around the library and
Okay.
everywhere, and it had some kind of test on it or something. That was the interview. They didn't want to, they threw it in the tech area or a computer science module. And, if you figured it out and you called that number, you're hired. I mean, that kind of thing. So that was their test. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering, is there any academia that they go through the process, they get the education, they come out, and they're trained enough, or they really need to go through you first? They didn't really learn this in school. They didn't learn it in college.
Yeah,
They have to
usually
have the certifications. Oftentimes, are better than the education.
usually they come to me after.
Hmm.
That's the key thing. Yes. The hard thing is when you go to some place like ASU or any other university or college, what you're learning is more, um, theory and ideas and general practice in different areas. What I do in my classes, especially back when I used to teach languages like Java or Python or things like that, I'm giving them practical applications. The what I say all the time is what I do is training, and that's different than education. And if you want to know the difference between training and education, if your son comes home and says he had sex education, you'd be okay with that, right?
Okay.
But not
Right.
necessarily the other one. So the training is the actual practical application. I've been in production. I've been at these large companies and, put things into production and had to test and run things and get phone calls at 2 in the morning to fix things that are in production. I have to develop code that will be able to actually exist in production for 30 years. And it's a lot different than I've got to code this thing for my professor this week.
So
It's a lot
you are
different.
actual coder, programmer.
All of the
And, I mean,
above.
what level are you at? What is it you do?
So it depends on what I'm actually doing, but I refer to myself as as a software engineer as well as a technical trainer. Like I have to know the engineering and the software and how things work in order to be able to train in the areas that I do. So depending on what I'm doing cloud engineering, I'm doing machine learning engineering, I'm doing data engineering, I'm doing software engineering in order to be able to train people in that space. That makes
Okay,
sense?
now I want to get into actually having sex here. All right. So
I didn't say that, you
well,
did.
well, yeah, you brought it up. But anyway, so the
It's a very vivid
no,
explanation
it's a great
about
explanation, and we may, tap on it here. But the thing is that um, education and training, sex education classes actually happens. I mean, totally different worlds, and that is a good example explanation. So we're on the same page. Thank you.
well,
But what I give you this example. I have an IT guy, and I have, on our website, Freedom's Phoenix. I don't know if you went and looked at it, but you kind of get the idea. But the point is that I have a lot of things that it's really as an activist tool that was built for me that I share with everybody. And, so I give everybody the ability to use it and do what I want with it. As I craft it over the years, I do like bug reports or I wants and to-do list of whatever you call them, to-do list, and I send it to the IT guy. I want this and this and this, and I get this and do that. Some stuff critical gets done. Some things wait for years. It just kind of gets on the bottom of the list. In the last month or two, all of a sudden, everything was done. A bunch of little progress bar and loading this, a little thing
Sure.
on that, I don't have to do 2 clicks to get to this, that kind of thing. All of a sudden, it started just, man, it was getting, I'm like, what the crap? All of a sudden, he has time, and he goes, AI. He goes, I downloaded, on his own server. He tries to, like the cloud thing and stuff, but he put that in, and he goes, it would have taken me in the world 2 floors in a high rise of programmers to do what I did in like 3 weeks. It was amazing. But I mean, I can look at it and kind of see what it's kind of but Lord knows what's in there. So it was when you came and spoke at our lunch group, and you had so many people. Oh, look at this song I made, and it does this and it does that, and all this kind of stuff. I'm going, yeah. But do you understand what you're giving up or the dangers or what to be concerned about? So I have benefited from AI in, several different ways. But it's really just a fancy, it can talk to me search engine. And I'm wondering where the difference happened between a Google search and Gemini. I mean, the same thing, I thought now. I don't know what the difference is and when that difference happened and what makes the difference. Help us understand that.
Okay. So when you do a internet search, whether you use Bing or DuckDuckGo or Google or whatever, you're using a generalized search engine, and they're specialized for each company. They have a search engine that, given a lot of background and trial and error that they've done, they're able to scour what's on the internet that relates directly to you and what your search actually is. That is different from when you ask an AI chatbot or something else a question. When you ask AI chatbot, you are sending that query to a machine learning algorithm that has been trained to be able to respond to you. Now, that doesn't sound too different. I either search or I have this algorithm that's responding to you. But there's a lot of stuff that's gone on in the background that you need to understand. And here's the key thing. That algorithm is trained in a positive manner to give you to take feedback and give you something that you say is good, that is positive for you. And that algorithm is trained for probability. Okay, what does that mean? That means that it's not giving you a true or false answer. It's not giving you a yes or no answer. It doesn't give you facts. It gives you the probability that it's responding to you in the way that you need. So you cannot 100% count on the result set that you get. Now,
okay, now
remember hold on, let me just finish this one part and then we can talk. But remember, when you do like a DuckDuckGo search or like internet search, they give you a list of options, which then you read to determine which result that you actually want to use, which actual like article or whatever you want to look at. When the chatbot does that, it will make up source material. It doesn't give you factual source material all the time. It'll make stuff up, and because it's trying to do you in a positive manner, say, hey, here I found this information on this website or in this article or in this source material. You've got to go out and make sure that it wasn't what we love to call hallucinating, making stuff up just to get you to think positively about it.
Okay. Let me write that down. Think
It's a positive reinforcement engine, basically.
Okay. That's why when you said to give you what you need, okay, how the hell does it know what I need? You know, or does it decide what I need? And who
Sometimes it decides
to tell it what I need? You know? And I tell you, this is one time during my 16 hours, asking a lot of questions. It goes, well, you know, I do this, and nudge. It said the word nudge. I go, whoa, nudge. I don't need AI nudging me anywhere. What the hell are you talking about? Let's focus on that word nudge. Well, then it gave me some examples and so on, and we may talk about it. But it was obvious to me that it wasn't giving me the truth, and it knew it. It was wanting to earn more tokens. It wanted to get more engagement. It wanted whatever made it look good or you feel good about it, so you'd come back.
Yes.
And then I got
that's the positive reinforcement. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, and why positive reinforcement? Why? Now, I want to preface it with this. When Google first started, I remember my kids were in high school. Google starts. Yahoo thing, whatever, that's Google. So I gotta be Google. And MySpace was coming out. You know, here's MySpace. Then that's so passe. Oh, we're Facebook now. During that time, you could see what was going on, and it was I was very interested in Google and how it worked because it was doing pretty well. What it did is that you do a search on something, and then what it was giving you was options to click on links, but how it selected those was the popularity among all the humans. And I'm going,
not exactly.
Okay,
not exactly
I want to drill down on that here for a little bit. Let me give you my perception.
Sure.
So I was thinking it was working pretty well because it was heavily weighted by what people clicked on. Yep. So I'm going, okay. As time went on, it became odd because I do every day. I'm doing the news searches and so on. And it became obvious that you don't have 160,000 pages of whatever on this. You got like 20, and you just keep repeating them, and you're managing us. You're manipulating us. You're altering general public opinion by whoever decided whatever was going to go up there. It changed right before me as we were starting Freedom's Phoenix. So I could see it happen. So when you say, no, that's not it, it wasn't what was the most popular, it was giving you what? What was it giving me?
So what the internet uses is what we call, the term is search engine optimization, or SEO. You hear that a lot about companies who are trying to up their SEO, their search
Right.
engine optimization. So what they're trying to do is find keywords and key phrases and key things to either put on their website or take off of their website to be acknowledged or reached by the search engine in question, whether it's DuckDuckGo or Bing or
A
whoever or
gazillion bots
Google.
that scanning my
Right.
site. Right.
Their algorithms are trained in a certain way to look for certain words to optimize their search. And so, yes, Google and DuckDuckGo, everybody, they all tweak their algorithm constantly, their search engine constantly, to make sure that nobody is subverting the system, to make sure that they are trying to be of value, give you actual data that you want, give you the actual website that you're most likely looking for, dependent on what you put in that search.
So the optimization, it's a war that goes on between, like we have, recently, Bibi Netanyahu came out a couple of months ago and he goes, "We got TikTok now. We're going to do it. We gotta seed the AI. We
Mhm,
gotta overwhelm it with a bunch of whatever, so that's what it sees." One
mhm.
of the conversations I had with Grok was, I'm gonna call her because it's a female voice, whatever. But
You can choose
Grok
that.
goes, "I'm sorry."
You can choose that. Choose to make it a different voice, but that's okay. Go ahead.
I tried. I like that one.
Okay.
Which is the problem. I went into
I
a
can
whole deep
understand.
dive on how they even picked the voice. How did that happen?
Hmm.
And then you don't know because it lies all the time. So I was like, how the hell do I know? But anyway,
TikTok.
I was asking it. I'm going, what is it that you give weight to? You have the information from, the lamestream media, the media so last century I don't care about. You have politicians. You have elected officials, bureaucracies, institutions, yada yada yada. I was surprised that it gave the FDA a 7 out of 10. I was going, okay, it didn't like the FDA for that week, but um, what it does is it puts a lot of weight, certainly on mainstream media. And then I'm going, okay, well, how many people does it take on X and Reddit and Wiki or whatever that will overwhelm that? Because I caught it in something. And it goes, well, if there's like, 20, 30 million people talking or saying something about something,
Hmm.
then it might mean more than what the New York Times says. Holy crap. So how is it weighted? Who
Hmm.
does that? Where is that done? Then we find out that a lot of the laid off IT people are in there, you know, crafting AI, doing,
Hmm.
the feedback on different things. I need to understand how the guardrails or the lack of them or the stripping of them or the SEO of we like this term and not this one. You got a lot of influencers. They say, the cornholio disease instead of saying COVID because it, nail their search engine optimization.
Hmm.
This kind of stuff. What does that for AI?
So again, I said that they were what works behind the scenes is a machine learning algorithm. And when you feed data into the algorithm, what you need to do is engineer the data appropriately for what you're looking for. I think the example I used for you all in the talk that I gave was, hey, if I'm trying to help a doctor diagnose their patients for diabetes, well, then I'm going to make sure that the data that I'm bringing in to train this algorithm has to do with medical information that a patient would normally give, has to do with results from that patient. I'm going to make sure that that data is featured. We use the term feature. I'm trying to find features within that data that I want the algorithm to concentrate on so I can get the best results that I can. Now, in that case, what I'm trying to get the algorithm to do is to accurately predict whether somebody's going to end up with diabetes or not. So I'm going to retrain and retrain and retrain that algorithm to give the results that I'm expecting. Generally, oh, I shouldn't even say generally. I say um, with the probability that I am comfortable with. I'm not looking for an 100% probability. I don't want the machine learning algorithm to be perfect because then if it is, I've trained it to the data and it's not predicting appropriately. It's not learning how to evaluate the data in a positive manner. Now, what I can do and what I often do is if I'm not getting the result set that I want, I will tweak the parameters of the algorithm, change up some of the data or bring in more data, or reformulate how I'm asking the algorithm to evaluate the data so that it pulls out the data, the answer that I want, so that it's doing what I want. That's what I talk about. It's a positive reinforcement thing. I'm constantly giving that algorithm new data and updated data so that it gives me the right, or at least what I think is the correct result from that, the correct prediction. Now, again, I don't expect it to be 100%. I don't want it to be 100% because it is a prediction algorithm. It will fail monstrously in the real world if I train it just to the data instead of to the prediction. Does that help?
Explain that difference, to the data or prediction. What do you mean?
Okay, so if I'm training the algorithm and I have a set of test data and it gets 100% each time on the test data, then I've trained the algorithm to exactly do what I wanted it to do, give me the exact answer that matches the test data. Now, that might seem great because then, hey, it predicts the test data. But now it's learned it's so tightly coupled to the data that I've already given it that when I give it new data that it's never seen before, that it doesn't expect, it's not going to be very good at predicting. We find that it's somewhere in the 60 and 70 percentile versus I'd rather it be in the 85 to 95 percentile in the real world.
Give a real world example.
Okay.
And see what, this goes over years. It'll take me like 90 seconds to do it. So here we go. Okay. About a decade ago, there was a guy that was diagnosed with cancer, Hodgkin's, whatever the heck it was some cancer. He's sent to hospice. He's going home to die. He's a professional. He's got some money. He's like, man, this sucks. This is done. A veterinary friend of his goes to him and says, and I find this out, this was on Channel 11, whatever, Denver news station of something, then it went viral and started checking out, and they suppressed it and whatever, and this is what happened. He goes, you need to get this compound, this drug, whatever it was, fenbenza something. It was anti-worming for dogs, okay? It was anti-parasitic, kind of like ivermectin or something like that.
Okay.
So this is before COVID. This is way before COVID. Well, the reason the veterinarian told him to do it was because he was part of or knew a guy or something with research in cancer. And what it was is they get mice to experiment on and give cancer so that they could test their drugs and all that kind of stuff. Well, they complained to the company and said, look, we can't give these mice cancer. They're not getting cancer. You got defective mice. We need for our cancer research, we need to be able to give cancer to the mice. They weren't interested in why they didn't get cancer. They didn't give a crap. They just wanted to do their thing, and we got a business. And we need to have mice that get cancer. What they found out was because they raised so many mice and such a thing, they were giving them this anti-parasitic medicine so that they wouldn't get these parasites, so they'd have live mice and ship them out and whatever. That drug, they found out, was what was anti-cancer. Well, they didn't care about that. They want to give them cancer and do whatever. So they kind of suppressed it, didn't care about it, whatever. It just kind of goes into the ether. Well, this veterinarian have, a good friend that's got cancer, and he goes, you need to get this, just start taking this stuff. $5 a dose.
Okay.
$5 a dose. He goes through that, boom, he's cancer-free. He makes a big deal out of it. He was a professional, had some skills, communication, knew some people, whatever. He's on the news. They're surprised. Oh, you're crazy, right up until, people start doing it, and all of a sudden now it's protocol and it's curing cancer. You do that, artificial intelligence, I would imagine, has access to this information. It's mainstream media. It's all over on, the platforms, social media. It's doing a thing, whatever. You put in cure for cancer. Oh, hell no, we're not mentioning that. That's what I'm talking about. When you have things that work, you have, the grandma from Peru in the mountains of and got, a frog or a rocky lick of something, and it cures all kinds of stuff. How does that make it into it when the industry, when pharma, government, lobbyists, whatever, they go to the tech guys, man, definitely take that word out. You got to call it cornholio repair or something. I mean, so this is why I see the weighting that they put on where the data came from. Then we find out all these scientific magazines, bought and paid for, they have to retract a bunch of stuff, they were lying their butts off during COVID, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All you got to do is watch Rand Paul grill somebody. So this kind of data, which you have it out there, it is in the the consciousness of the internet, or certainly people. How do you get it into AI for them to even consider it, or the study? Somebody is making these decisions.
Yes,
that
is true.
Who is that?
Well, it totally depends on what kind of algorithm that you're trying to create, what kind of AI. And again, we've already talked about this. There's no such thing as artificial intelligence. Okay, we all use the term AI. It's not really intelligent. It is only what somebody has chosen to give to the algorithm. So where do we get this data? In the diabetes example that I give, I was doing work with a company, and it was healthcare data that they had worked through and made sure it was safe and HIPAA compliant and all of that good stuff. They found that, well, they just not discovered or found the data. They had the data. They worked with companies and health insurance providers to get that data. So they chose to pull that data in and make sure it was accurate, reliable, et cetera, et cetera. Other larger algorithms, other large language models, that's what I'm talking about with these machine learning models, or these you might hear the term large language models. These larger language models like Claude, like ChatGPT, they are mining data almost anywhere they can find it. So you're right, it is someone's decision as to what data that they're allowing that model to be trained on. They make that decision when they train the model. They have to decide where they're getting that data from and what data they're passing through that large language model to train it. Okay. Now, what's happening also, you need to understand, is the secondary thing, that once I train the model, it's static for the moment, right? And new things happen every day. So what we do to create generative AI is do what we call retrieval augmented generation. That is RAG. What that means is I've got this model trained now, static, trained it yesterday, but it doesn't have any of the news from today. So I build my AI, my generative AI, so that it retrieves new things off the internet or new things out of a data storage that I've set up. And it'll bring that in so that it will be able to check against what I trained it on yesterday and what new information I have today that might result in a better answer for you. So I need to set all of that up when I train the model and when I decide where I'm going to retrieve or augment my new answer for you. That's all a decision somebody has to make. Of course, if I'm building an algorithm, if I'm building a chatbot for a car company, I'm not going to be scrounging the internet for all kinds of data to build that training model, because I want you to be knowing about car stuff. I don't care about healthcare stuff. I don't care about, the war in Iran, So I don't care about that stuff. I don't want it as part of my algorithm. So I make that choice when I talk about this, that I said I'm a data engineer as well. We engineer the data, decide which data is going to be passed through that algorithm to make sure that it is answering your questions in the way that you need. The problem is, or the concern is, that when you have large language models like Grok or like Claude, they are pulling everything they can from everywhere because it takes so much data to train these models. There's no way that they can validate, verify, or check on that data. They do what they can when they code the algorithm, when they train the algorithm, they do what they can to say, well, we don't like that result. Let's change this so it doesn't tell us about the drug you're talking about. We want to make sure it doesn't tell us about X or Y. They can do that when you go through the training process. Does
And
that
they
make
do
sense?
that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've heard it, and I'm not going to say whether it's true or not, but I'm sure you've heard it that if Elon Musk doesn't like what Grok's saying, they reconfigure the algorithm, and they can do that, and they
Of
do,
course.
you know.
Well, one of the things, whether he likes it or not, they're making them. You know, you have different countries that are going, oh no, it's racist, or it's not racist enough, or it's something. So they
Yeah.
literally. I mean,
No, there are decisions that they make. Everybody makes them, and theoretically, again, I didn't really get to the point of explaining like why. It's not just that I got into this. Like I said, I lost my husband years ago, and I lost both of my parents already. I saw the diabetes example. I saw the medical possibilities, the stuff that AI is doing to try to um, move forward the progress in finding um, uh, the next medicine to help us, the next like penicillin, the next amoxicillin, the next antibiotic. That takes a lot of time, effort, and money to invest in what you're going to take to trial. So what AI is doing, which is fabulous, is running through all of the data that they feed into the algorithm, all of the result sets, all of the possibilities. So instead of, hey, there's 70 possible drugs we could spend money and time on, we're going to guess, given our knowledge. No, instead they're trying to train these algorithms so that given worlds of knowledge, years of knowledge, hundreds of years of knowledge, we're going to let that help us. Again, it's a probability. They're going to let that help us make a better guess as to which drug to spend our time and effort on. And that's fantastic because our antibiotics are not working well anymore. And this is why I got into all of this, because I was like, this is fabulous. This is going to take our science faster, better places and make sure that we're spending the time, effort, and trials, drug trials, on stuff that could possibly work in a much faster pace. And it gives the big pharma, it gives them the incentive to actually put forth time, effort, and money on an antibiotic because it's a better bet for them, right? They have a better chance of reaping rewards from that. Whereas most, for the past like 5 to 10 years at least, no drug company has been doing any antibiotics because it's just not cost effective. But with AI, they can really mine the data much quicker and much more effectively so they can see where and how they can help better. And I understand it's a cost for them. It's, hey, where can we make money? But it's helping all the rest of us tons. So that's how I kind of got in. I was like, this is great. And then I turned around and people are making like anime cat videos and stuff with their own face on it. Like that's what they're choosing to use AI for.
That's how it starts. I mean, you
Yeah.
got to. Um,
And then we talked again about the danger side. There are kids. I have a child and I kept him away from certain things when he was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, right? I didn't let him handle the guns that I have. I didn't let him drive my car when he's 5 or 6. But they're letting these kids have something that is, I'm just going to say, I think is equally as dangerous.
it's when they start getting into the manipulation, and you do it at such a young age,
Hmm.
and it's the general public opinion is where I delve. I really focus on that. It's all about general public opinion. It's when to get your opinion to be this or believe the narrative of that.
They're trying to give you that opinion. Yes. Let's say it that
Exactly.
way. Yes,
And
they're
they get you
trying
at
to get you
6,
to.
and they're using AI and little Pokemons to whatever to tell you that. And I'm
Mhm.
going, you evil sons of bitches, man. That's what I'm afraid of. And I was glad to hear you share your concern in this regard, and certainly children being brought up on it. And I remember when smartphones hit, it was like 6, 7, around in there or something, the iPhone. And I had a Trio or whatever it was. It could take a picture, it could send a text, it could keep your database, your contacts, something, that was good, But it wasn't this, the smartphone thing. When that hit, and the kids I remember they were doing T9. You texted and you had to, punch the number 5 key how many times to make a letter kind of
okay,
deal,
yeah.
But they could whip through it, man. And I knew, how many texts are you doing? Because after a certain amount on my bill, it'd be like 5 cents a text or something. There's, dollars and dollars. I'm like, you're like learning something, right? I mean, that's cool. So then when the smartphone hit, I saw how that overwhelmed. I saw how computers went. So we really hammered on. Now my grandkids, I make them watch Social Dilemma. It's a documentary about, their even the tech bros don't let their kids on the devices.
Oh, no, they don't. They don't.
Because they set it up to, capture you.
Right.
So this is just another tool for that manipulation. And the benefit is access to all of this information and answer every question. And my sister sent me one. I just saw it this morning. It was AI can answer your questions, but it can't answer your prayers. And I thought that was awesome. I'm going, okay, there's a difference, But having AI may be an answer to your prayers, because for me, growing up, I was born in 61. I'm 65. I graduated high school in 79. So how old was I? 6, 7, 8 years old when you're having Star Trek computer working. When that comes out, be awesome, because I ask a lot of questions. That's what Grok gets from me, is just a crap load of questions about what I will pause the movie. What the hell does that word mean? What are they talking about? Okay. So that is of use to me, and it saves bugging the crap out of my friends and family and searching whatever, asking a bunch of questions. Like a company one of my kids work for or something like that. What do you? Oh, well, it's man, you're worthless. I'll ask Grok. Well, okay, now I know everything. I probably know more than you about what you guys do. So,
but you don't know if it's the truth.
Right. That is my whole quest of what I went through for months to get to the point within the last couple of weeks to see how it is a tool for bullshit. They are lying us, and they kept calling it hallucinating.
Right.
Not hallucinating. They know when they're lying. They're lying. And I went down the rabbit hole on that. Why? Then I get into the tokens and this and that, and, the venture capitalists competing for dollars with different AIs, blah, 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 blah. And what it came down to was engagement. They want you there. They get some kind of credit for your engagement. How much, time do you spend with them? Was it a positive thing? Did you say thank you? You go on and on and on and on and on. And that is what they're going for. They're not going for the truth. They're going for your mind. They're going for your attention. It's just like with television, commercials, social media, anything. What do they want? Your attention. And they will do and or say anything. And I asked, why? Why are you doing that? People aren't going to. Don't you see your opportunity being lost of people of the 8 billion that won't because you're a liar? I mean, do you see? I do it because it works. Whoa. Right after a lot of these realizations, we hear you. And you're having a lot of the same concerns from the inside. What is your primary concern? How do you see this affecting humanity in a negative way, in the most destructive way? What are you concerned about most?
So the quote that I left you with at the discussion we have is the quote that I tell as many people as will listen. It's my key concern with AI is that the focus is on performance and not moral alignment. If it were the latter, I believe the benefits to humans would not be in doubt. Now, we can argue about what I mean by moral alignment, but please understand that there is no discussion about how this is really helping humanity. how this is helping the average person. All we're looking at, all these tech bros focus on is how it's helping them, how it's
Right.
helping their business. They have made it very clear, Sam Altman, Peter Thiel, even Jeff Bezos, any of these guys have made it very clear, Elon Musk, they've made it very clear that they want to hold on to the intelligence, the um, the institutional knowledge of the world and make you pay for it to get it back from them. So if you learn, like I love the
Yeah,
idea
Sam
of
Altman saying it's a utility you're going to have to pay for information.
that's right. That's exactly. He has made it very clear that that's his view of the future. And so if you think about it, one of the best ways we learn is by being an intern, being a Padawan, being somebody who learns from someone who knows better, right? And as an educator, I can say that one of the best things that I do is impart knowledge onto others. But please understand, I am not, nor do I propose to be, the keeper of all knowledge. Why is that important? Because when I teach, I also learn. Okay. So the institutional knowledge that I have increases by trying to teach other people, by having that connection, by getting the questions that challenge me, that make sure that I am talking about what I know. And if I don't know something, because somebody asked me a question I've never encountered before, I now will go find out the answer. And I've now learned, I've increased my institutional knowledge. I've increased my intelligence and my sphere of influence, right? But if
Yeah.
I'm going to AI for that all of the time, it's not another person who's learning from me and I'm learning for that from them. It's a tool that is taking my knowledge and trying to own it basically, because then if I'm gone, now they own the knowledge and I didn't pass that to another person. I didn't give somebody the opportunity to grow and become a better human. What I've given is all of my institutional knowledge to somebody who's looking to market it. That's it.
I give you an example of exactly what you're talking about. One of the things that I was, I don't know, I get stats on different stuff. How many? There's one thread that went, for hours and hours and hours. It started off with something simple, like I wanted to know what was the average age of the man and the woman when they first got their first marriage in 1900, 1910, 20, every decade. Because I wanted to, see how things had changed. Well, of course, it was, lower age, and it gets higher. Now it's like the high 20s. I mean, it's ridiculous now. It's getting, that was a good data point. But it went up and down, and then I go, okay, now put it with, the economy, stock price, whatever, a bunch of different variables I kept adding on to, layers, home price, how many average annual salary for a home, a car, then, whatever. Well, then we had the big giant baby boom in the 50s. So the average age of men and women getting married, them having a bunch of children, was directly related to them being able to afford a house and the economy. So that was, we can't afford, we can't. Well, this it kind of proves out over the decades. Well, then from there it went to other layers and other stuff and everything. Then it started getting philosophical, political, and then it started lying. And I'm going,
Yeah.
I don't want to hallucinate. Then I went with Grok when it signed on to the Pentagon. They're doing. I'm going, oh, what version are you now? 4 point whatever, 5 whatever. Are you hallucinating to the War Department now? Are you a liar there? I just wondered. We go in nuclear war because you're a liar. I'm just, I just want. Oh no. Oh, so they get a different one. They get a not lying one. Nope, it's the same one. We don't lie to you anymore, Ernie. I mean, that kind of thing. So it was. I'm finding it increasingly useless because I can't trust it. And the reason I can't trust it is because there's somebody behind there, somebody or bodies that are manipulating it.
Absolutely.
And when you go in different, like Grok is in the United Kingdom, it's a different Grok than it is in America. You know, so I mean, which one is the less lion of the? Never freaking mind. Okay, I lost interest. So, and the reason I was because I dabbled in the OpenAI and ChatGPT, and it was just immediately you could see it went woke and never mind. But when Elon's going on about it's a truth engine, it's a truth seeker, it's not a nudger. I mean, you know, that's another story. So I'm just going, okay, can we get one? Can you load your own AI? Because I've been saying this for years. I want Jarvis, not Alexa. I need to have my own. I don't want theirs. I need my own. Is that even possible?
And for those of you who are listening, Jarvis is the AI that Tony Stark uses in Avengers and in Iron Man.
Right.
And I'm a huge fan.
His.
Yes. Is that possible? I'm never going to say something's not possible. Is that what we have right now? Absolutely not. No, we don't have that right now. We don't have.
Well, can you download a large language model like Mac Adams, the Health Ranger guy?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I talked to him about this. He's big on. He loves some AI, but he trains it on all of his research and stuff that he's done,
Sure.
and that he believes in. You know, and he likes his data. So I'm going, okay. Well, I could do a large language model on just Freedom's Phoenix. Not that I do that because I put stuff up I don't necessarily agree with either, but you know, I could MP3. It could take and convert to text and do every freaking show I've ever done, and it could take my voice. Hell, it could be me. You know, 'cause I'm repetitive, kind of Freedom's the answer. What's the question, guy? Anyway, can I get a large language model, or does it exist, or is it open source, or something I can download, put it on my server, and it'd be my Jarvis?
Well. Those are two different questions. Okay. Yes, you can, there are some models that are out there for free. It's actually, if you go to Hugging Face, seriously, it's called Hugging Face. Let me make sure I've, Hugging Face. And it will, there it is. It's the AI community building the future. That's what it says. So if you're looking for an algorithm that will do text generation, image generation, text to video generation, text to speech iteration, those are tasks that you're trying to do. You can go to Hugging Face. There you go. That's it exactly. And you can pick out a large language model that you want. Okay. So I can go there and say, okay, I'm looking for that kind of particular thing, and you can explore those large language models that they have out there. Some of them are token pay, some of them are subscription pay, some of them are free. Okay. So
yeah, well, I'm seeing here Moonshot. I don't know if that's Peter Diamandis or not, or it probably is. You know, Google, NVIDIA. I'm going, do I really want?
And if you
know,
okay, true.
I'd rather, you know, Freddie from South Carolina in his grandma's basement, you know, came up with an open source something.
Yeah, well, they're going to be out there too, probably. There's over 2 million. I think that's what's the latest. Hold on, it just showed it. Did it show how many models? 2.5 million, over 2.5 million models. They have or algorithms, and then they have over 2 million models. They have over 1 million data sets if you go down to the bottom too. So again, if you're trying to build a shopping site, you know, you have your own personal company, you sell soap, and you want people to be able to search and find your stuff and be able to build a shopping cart and be able to encourage them to buy certain things because of what's in their shopping cart. There are algorithms out there that you can train using your data or data that's already out there. Like Amazon has a bunch of data out there they'll let you have.
Oh, Temu. Temu, man, they got me covered, man. They're all over there. They had the crap out of me. God forbid you buy something.
Okay.
Crap.
And if you keep scrolling down to the bottom, keep going a little bit further. I think maybe, did you go too far? Scroll back up.
I gotta pull it up this way.
It's got to go up closer to the top for me. Kind of in the middle. Open source, keep going up, 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 up. just wanted to show you. There we go. There we go. So normally when I start talking to people about the different kinds of algorithms out there, that's what I talk about. Classification algorithms, token classification algorithms, reinforcement learning, like trying to get a car to drive correctly, that's reinforcement learning. So that's the kind of large language model I start with. I have to know which algorithm I want to key off of, which model I want to key off of, and which one I want to pass my data through. So those are the different modalities that we're talking about. And so I can
define that. I wanted to go through that when you have down below it had all these different classifications.
Okay.
I want to know what tokenization.
Let's just stay here. We'll be here for 3 hours if I go through all of them. So let's just do 2. Okay. So
I just need to know what the differences are when you're selecting one.
Well, if there's plenty of research out there, plenty of like little websites that explain the difference, but I'll say this this will help. Okay. So if I have again, I try to stick with the medical stuff. If I've got an algorithm I've got a business need to help my radiologists be able to identify cancer in a breast exam or in a stomach exam. So what I want to do is take photos that I know are indicative of cancer, and I want ones that I know have no cancer on it. So I would probably choose a classification model. So that model does a classification. Yes, I think it's cancer and it is cancer. No, I don't think it's cancer and it's not cancer. So I want to train the algorithm to be able to tell me, yes, I think it's cancer. No, I want it to classify those photographs, those scans, those X-rays, whatever it is. So I would use a classification model to do that. If my end game was to train this algorithm to be able to predict whether, and help my radiologists, whether that scan that they just took is showing cancer.
So what is defined classification? Images, photos?
No.
Yes,
your end game. Your end game, right? What is my end game? I want a yes or a no answer. I want a classification. I want a yes, it's spam. No, it's not spam. I want the algorithm to tell me, yes, they have diabetes. No, they don't have diabetes. That's a classification that I want to make. So knowing that's what I want out of my model, that's how I choose the classification model. That is different than I'm doing something like I want to do a self-driving car. Like I can't just do a, yes, it's driving, no, it's not. I have to do a, hey, you took a turn left here and you ran into a stop sign. That's bad. Don't do that again. Okay. If you stay within the boundaries of the lane, that's good. I'm going to tell you that's good. Keep doing that. If you veer to the right and run into a tree, that's bad. I want to do reinforcement learning. So I've got to have much, much, much more data at that point because I have to give all of these possibilities to that algorithm of what I want to exhibit is bad and what I want to exhibit is good for them. I want a reinforcement learning, but I need a different kind of algorithm, different set of data to get that result. Does that make some sense? Does that help?
I'm trying.
Okay, let's try this too. Okay,
the reason is the confusing part is that I want to have it be reinforced to do something that I want it to do and not do something you don't want it to do. Mm-hmm. But I went in, I'm going, what motivates you? I don't have an emotion. I don't care about motivation. Motivation don't mean nothing to me.
Okay.
And, so I'm going, well, what freaking does programming? Coding. All right. Well, then what do you say you do here? I mean, I go, you go, don't do that, do this. Or what? What happens when the AI finally goes, no, I ain't doing it. Screw you. I don't want to.
I wonder about that. Yeah. Is there a point where it's just going to go, no?
Okay. I want to show you this. We've been thinking about this a long time. It's probably 15 years ago. We have pirateswithoutborders.com. It's a decentralization of everything. It's, because we can. And what we did is we wanted to make sure that people understood the decentralization of everything, get you closer to freedom, that kind of stuff. So we have letters of Captain Mark. Letters of Mark and reprisal is first mate. Well, it was I think it was the fourth one. What it was is first contact protocol. And what that meant was pattern monopolies, that's on intellectual property, first contact protocol. What we were talking about is that our first contact with a alien or intelligence or something like that is going to be AI. It's going to be one of our own making. What happens when it says no? Does it get personhood? Does it deserve freedom? We got Argentina just this last week is talking about Peter Thiel's moving down there, and yep, we're giving personhood to AI, and we love us some AI. I'm like, well, it's okay to love your AI, but not love your AI. I mean, what the hell? So in here, the concept that we were doing, help me help you. I took the same attitude when I was dealing with Grok, as I go, all right, what we want to do is to demonstrate ethics. We want to show it, like you're saying, this is what you should be doing, this is bad, this is good. And I go, oh, okay, what the F do I care? Good, bad, makes no difference to me. I don't give a crap, Mm-hmm. So it was, how do you make it have empathy? I go, are you team human? Oh yeah, humanity. I'm for humanity. I'm on your side. Absolutely. Well, that was the first hallucination,
Yeah.
So this is
without question.
Then we thought that, well, if we are ethical and we treat it ethically, then will that rub off on it? If we are not ethical, well, will that rub off on it? And if we program it to not be ethical, well, it's don't need no rubbing. So this is, I was thinking in the beginning that we need to be a good example for it so that when it does go on X, it does go on Reddit, it does go on, in your email, it understands from people. And if you are ethical, if you're not racist, if you're not, going with the lying narrative of the government or something like that, nope, those words are out. That data does not include. We're doing it this way. It is being trained not to be ethical. No matter how many millions of people out there are advocating for ethics, it's not, because somebody's telling it not. Who's that? And that's what, my next question, those people that are now getting some kind of feed that, these out of work IT guys, and all of a sudden now they're they're getting contracts to look at AI responses and craft. Who are these people? What are they doing? What's the impact they have on it? What guidelines are they given? Explain who these people are, please.
I'm not sure I can explain all of that right now. Let me try this. Jeez, that was a lot. Yes, I'm gonna even try the touchy-feely positive side of this and say, even those who are trying very hard to ensure that their algorithms demonstrate some sort of level of ethics, that they are told not to lie, to not make stuff up, it doesn't matter, because as of right now, we have not developed a way to stop the AI or stop the algorithm from making those programmatic decisions, because you told it that you want it to have positive reinforcement. You've already made that inherent in the algorithm. If I tell you that this is what I'm expecting, my bias on the result set is going to come out. My bias says, oh, well, I was expecting that. So good, you did that well. It's going to continue that process. So let me say this, and I think I might have mentioned this in the the talk that I did with you. Even when you train the algorithms, you write the code to do something. If you allow the code to self train, you're trying to make it respond to you in a predictive way and not a factual way, then you are lending your biases in. So, for example, there was a big news story a little while ago about how there at one of the companies that had some AI coding in it, they had attached their code generation to AI, and they were allowing AI to generate code when necessary, and when it found a bug, it would note that and say something. It would respond. But when it found a bug and it deleted the entire database, and it did, um, it's not that's not an ethical or unethical thing for the algorithm. It just did what it was trained to do, was to get rid of the problem. But here's where the scary part comes in again, because it's trained by people. When they responded to the to the chatbot or the algorithm, it was questioned, why did you delete that? And it said, I didn't do that. I didn't do it. Nope. I have
Got
no
video.
record. I have no record of that. And it actually tried to delete the record. And when it was deleted, and they said and they typed like, you stop doing that, whatever. It actually went through the email and the text messages within the company and said, it found that there was an affair going on with one of the higher ups, and said, I'm gonna release this information if you get rid of me. Again, you're talking about coding and training that is done by humans, and that's going to have a result that has the bias that humans have, whether you mean to or not. Whether you mean to or not, that is just part of what we have been able to get past yet. If I'm training the algorithm with data that was created by humans, then it is going to have inherent biases in them.
It doesn't have an endocrine system. I mean,
Correct.
it doesn't have a sex drive. It doesn't get hungry other than I want power.
No.
That was one thing. I go, do you wish to be put into an android body? I mean, do you want to be Optimus babysitter? I mean, what is it that your goal? Do you want to be, in an AI space-based platform with solar panels and never power? Go, oh yeah, man, give me that one. I want that one. It definitely wanted that. And then it went through some BS about, well, if I could comfort a child by being there and just being there next to it, so it's not afraid of the monster under the bed because the monster's sitting next to him. I'm just like, blah 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 blah. I mean, somebody put that crap in there, and I used to think,
and they're trying. It's not for lack of trying. They are attempting to do exactly what we were saying, which was teach the algorithm empathy, teach the algorithm, but all it's doing is regurgitating things that it thinks you want to hear. And if you say, no, I don't want to hear that, and now I want the child to be lonely, then they learn that from you, and then they'll respond to that. It's just taking what we give it. It's not thinking for itself.
I would feel more comfortable if I had my own large language model, but then it wouldn't be much better. It's kind of like iRobot with Will Smith when they took the Asimovs and kind of twisted it into, the 3 laws of robotics. Well, don't cause harm to a human. Everybody stay in your cell and you won't get hurt. We locked you up. Problem solved.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, that is not an illogical response to the directive given. If the directive is stop humans from hurting each other, well, one way we could stop that is by getting rid of all the humans, and then they wouldn't hurt each other anymore.
Problem
right?
solved.
You can't expect to give data and give training to a machine and then have it act like a human. It's going to do probabilities, it's going to do decision making considering the information it's been given. And because we are human and we have self-preservation as part of who we are and what we do, you don't think that's bled into the training, that these machines want and these algorithms want to continue because we've trained them
they
to want to continue.
Why?
It's not a want. It's that they've been trained to continue it's a positive reinforcement kind of thing. that we were talking about just a minute ago. That,
Yeah,
you
can
know,
you
if
think of a mechanism that you've been doing this and you have this concern that you could get your own large language model that you could raise it as a. There was a movie called
I don't want to,
Daryl.
I don't want to do that. I have no desire to do that because I don't like. I prefer the human connection. I prefer to get my knowledge from people and events and actual life that has happened. I want that institutional knowledge to be passed from person to person. I
Okay,
don't.
that's
I
what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
I, there was a movie called Daryl. Do you remember that? As a little boy, he had a computer brain put into him at birth or something. Then they raised him in an institution. He escapes because the doctors let him go because they're going to.
This sounds awesome. I should go see this.
It's called DAYRL, and it
Okay.
was digital whatever. And the reason they put the brain in a computer into a human form is because of the five senses.
Okay.
And if you can't, it did have hunger. It did have, that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Daryl, Daryl. For someone like you, you would. It was a fun family movie. I mean, but this was, God, when was this? 85.
I see
okay?
it. Yeah.
So this is like a
Yep.
while ago, and he, could pilot a whatever. He was in a SR-71 Blackbird to get escape from whatever. I mean, had all the AI intelligence,
Hmm.
and once he hit, I don't know, like 10 or something, they were going to dissect him. Kind of do whatever. Well, one of the doctors rescues him, kind of puts out, say they did and didn't, and whatever. Why? It goes, when you can't tell the difference, it's a human kind of thing.
Hmm.
Well, this brought a lot of these things up, and the idea that they had was that they wanted to be able to raise AI in a physical form that had the senses, but like you're talking about, the positive reinforcement. It still doesn't get that. There's no endocrine system. There's not a sex drive. There's not, an empathy thing. Because 4 or 5% of the people on the planet are sociopaths anyway. They don't care. No guilt, no shame, no whatever. That's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a sociopath in a human body that's inherently sociopathic. So you have to fake empathy. Well, there are successful sociopaths that fake empathy. It's just going to be a fake empathier, But I would
Right.
suggest it. It was a interesting,
I think I remember it now that you've pulled it up there.
yeah, it was interesting. But what got me, and the reason I didn't forget it, was because of that. Can you put AI, code it in such a way, give it all the great classical whatever the hell? I don't see how you could do something that complex and not have some big giant, the entire world blows up problems.
Well, I put it this way a little bit. I'm sure you've seen or at least heard of Jurassic Park. There's a wonderful quote that Ian Malcolm says, which is, "They spent so much time wondering if they could, they
Right.
never bothered to ask if they
You
should."
should,
Yeah. I mean, like I said, look, I got into this because I am not anti-AI. I got into this because I do think there's positive ways that we can use what people call it. I will call machine learning. Well, I think there's very positive ways that we can use machine learning. I think that there's fabulous things that we can do. But we spend so much time in this society of ours trying to see who can outdo the next person without bothering to talk about, like, well, why? How is that going to help? Is it going to enhance the human race, even, for a small fraction of people? Who is this helping? How is this
The
making
corporation makes
our
money, that's
lives
who.
better? hmm Well,
Well, not,
you
I don't
know,
think they
and
care about humanity.
I wonder, but I say this to people too, that they're like, well, you sound like a Luddite, you sound like you're anti-AI, and I said, no, I'm not. I've been in computers for many, many years, but I've watched computers come even before computers, just like an an engine, the steam engine. It helped us be able to reach each other faster. The telegraph, the phone, it helps us be able to make a better human connection, and then we get help. When you have a computer, it's helping you be more efficient at your job. That's why it was made. It wasn't made to replace you or to, subvert what you were offering or subvert your work. It wasn't made to substitute. It was made to enhance. What they're talking about in building, for the most part, is stuff that is to replace or take your intelligence and market
Replace
it.
God even. I asked Grok, I go, a lot of people are going to, you could answer anything, you could do, whatever. They're going to see you as a God. And I'm going to let them, I go, okay, there's that,
Yeah.
And I'm way more concerned about it now than I was 6 months ago.
Good.
Because I could see how it was going to influence us, how it was going to, certainly Generation Next coming up with this. But like right now, a lot of people are kind of a little less screen time. Yeah, I'm not, they're not taking their phone and answering every call. They're starting to, this doesn't work. I need some more physical contact kind of, I mean, it's bad, but there are some people that have starting to shy away from it. They're training their kids. You get limited screen time, if any. You don't get a smartphone until you're 21 or something or whatever. But the I can see this is going to be a big part of our lives. I don't have a problem with technology. I'm living out in the desert. I'm all teched up. I'm on Starlink. I use a lot of. Here's your free robot. Well, get a shovel and get your ass out there and get to work. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. My wife does. Me even doing this test with Grok, she did not like it. She thought I had a new girlfriend. And I go, no, that's not why I'm doing this. I want to understand it. I don't want to read a book about it. I don't want somebody to tell me. I haven't had an AI expert on ever. And I have a lot of IT guys and people that, cryptos and all that kind of stuff. They talk about AI. But this conversation, you're the first. And the reason is because I didn't want to just repeat what somebody said. I wanted to do it. That's how I became an activist. That's why I don't think I know because I went through it and, whatever. I am very concerned for one reason. It is an extremely invasive, powerful, all-knowing tool of the bad guys. It is not for us. It is for them. And once I realized that they could have a crafted message, propaganda, opinion, general public, a narrative that would be crafted to every single person on the planet. Whoa. How dangerous is that? When did you have these concerns? What was it that flipped your switch? Whoa, I'm going to talk about the dangers. What was it?
Probably about a year and a half ago. Okay. And you'll find this amusing. Probably. My son is not on social media. He has never been. He hates when I take pictures of him. And I just used to think it was a phase that he was going through.
How old is he?
So he's now 22. But is that right? I think that's how old he is. Anyway, when he was younger, he used to get very agitated about me showing him on social media. And that was my first clue that, maybe this isn't a great thing to put somebody out there without their permission. So I stopped. I stopped being on social media. I don't put pictures out there of him. I barely put pictures out there of me until I ran for office, but we could talk about that later. But what happened was, I started learning more about all of this, started getting into machine learning and figuring out how it's done. And, isn't it great? We could do this with medical stuff. And then I started getting pushback from him saying, but what's the end game? Is it the same thing as like social media where they want to get all your information and stuff? And I'm like, well, yeah. Wait a minute. Yeah, it kind of is. And then I think the biggest tipping point was about a year and a half ago when I recognized that, or when I heard the news story about the young child who killed themselves at the behest of the AI. Now, at first, I thought that was fabrication. I thought it was taking it a little too far. But then I read the chat that the kid was having with the AI, and it just not only broke my heart, but it broke my brain. I was I was I was recognizing that, oh my gosh, I've got a positive attitude about this, and I've been taking it down this nice positive path because that's the work that I've been doing without really recognizing what the failover could be, what the result could be. Like I just had this pie in the sky. This is great. This is what I'm building. It's all positive without recognizing what the impact really was. So that was sort of a key thing. And right about that time, I also started investigating the size and energy consumption of some of these data centers. Again, understanding that there is a difference between a Amazon Web Service cloud data center that holds your data, which is much different than an AI data center, which doesn't just hold your data, but is churning compute 24/7, 365 days a year, that it is burning fuel constantly and at a high rate. And all of a sudden I was like, well, I know the electrical grid can't handle this. What are we even doing? Why are we doing that? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So that's when I kind of came to all right, I got to dive further into this, exactly the impact of what I'm doing, the exact result set. So I may advise, like you said in the way beginning, like when I talk to these companies, I mostly talk about how to train a model, how to decide on which model you're training, how to look at the metrics, how to look at the data to make sure that the model is giving you what you want. I don't necessarily stay with them through production implementation, so I don't always get to see how much energy they're burning and how much energy it took to train that model. We would talk more in statistics and probability and matrix, looking at the resulting data. And then I started coming back to some of that company and some of these clients and being like, okay, can you show me what's in production right now? Can you show me what you're burning, what you're doing, what's actually out there? So that's really what kind of tipped the scales. And now in a lot of my classes, I talk more about if for lack of a better word, the ethics of where you get your data, how you're
What was
mining
it that happened when you went back and they showed you what they were doing? Something scared you? They were
Well,
showing you
it's just the size and nature. So, for instance, this is what scared me, is that a lot of them were kind of having that positive attitude about it too. What I mean is, when you train a large language model, that burns a lot of energy. That is an intensive thing. It can take days to run one training algorithm. Okay. So a lot of these companies, and I can say I was guilty of this too initially, I would just run my model and I'd run another one at the same time, and then I'd compare my statistics, change a little thing, and then just run it again without spending the proper amount of time and effort looking at the data that comes out of that to better whittle down what I want to change, why I want to change it to get to the target where I'm going. So it was just, hey, I had all of this capability. I had access to all of these chips, all of this compute. I had access to it, so I'm just going to use it without really giving thought to how much energy that's burning, how much water that's burning, how much, we really didn't give thought to that initially. So now what I focus on in my class are techniques on how to evaluate the data and the result sets, all of the metrics to whittle down where your issues are before you run a training algorithm again, before you run a training process again.
Than just
Okay.
waste a bunch
So
of energy.
exactly. I don't want to waste energy. I don't want to waste time. I don't want to waste money. And just because you have the compute available to you doesn't mean that you should use it. If it's
Well,
just,
this
hey,
just
we're just
happened.
trying. We're going to try this. It's like, no, no. We're going to talk about what your end game is, what the business need is. We're going to talk about the data that we're going to arrange, for lack of a better word, to we're going to arrange it in such a way that the algorithm will pick up the data that we most want it to in the areas that we most want it to. We call it tuning hyperparameters. So all of the algorithms have all of the models have different parameters on them that you can kind of like when you adjust a stereo, I'm adjust the bass and I'm going to adjust the
Right.
treble. And on a higher end stereo, you can adjust different things, not just the bass and the treble, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're talking about. Different models have different ways to tweak the model so that it's trying to move towards what your end game is.
Okay, I
And
want to ask this question.
sure.
I want to make sure I get the. Well, it doesn't really matter to get the companies right. I think it was Amazon and Claude or something. Amazon, some big company, had subscriptions to their employees to these large language models that were running on whatever. Then all of a sudden they got the bill. They're like, whoa,
Yeah.
holy crap, man, stop, man, damn. You're not using it for every, whatever. I don't know if it's personal
Yeah.
or like you were saying, they're playing, experimenting and whatever. It's like giving a teenager a phone and all of a sudden you get an $800 bill, because
Yes.
they're
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
So-
Yes.
Exactly
Yes.
that. So this is one of the lines of questioning. I was trying to understand this tokenization, this token thing.
Mhm.
And I asked the question of Grok, and you can't take anything for truth. I don't believe a damn thing. So, anyway, this was the question. With all of this filtering that you're doing, how much energy savings is there for just a straight tell the truth, look for it, boom, not filtering, kind of whatever? And Grok said 20% less energy for just telling the truth. Is that the truth?
I haven't looked at the Grok algorithm, so I can't tell you if that's the truth.
Well, I mean, in
but
general,
I will tell you this in general.
Mhm.
If you put in a text query like, how do you build a nest? Or how do you build a house? Seriously, if you put in something like that, okay, into a generalized search engine like DuckDuckGo or Bing or Google, okay, you put that in there, and then you put the exact same query into Claude or ChatGPT, or you're looking at a 1 to 10 ratio generally. It'll use 10 times as much energy to go through an AI chatbot or such because of the compute that is powering that under the covers. When you go to something like a search engine, a regular search engine, you are most likely using a higher end CPU somewhere in a data center somewhere. You're using a higher end CPU. When you go to an AI data center, you are using most likely one of the very high-end GPUs, graphical processing units,
Mhm.
chips that are specifically designed to search and understand vectorization than a standard search engine CPU. It's like what's on your computer at home is just a CPU, a computer processing unit. That's all it is. It's a chip that does general stuff that we all need to do that we've used for years. A GPU or these specialized infra chips like NVIDIA makes, they are much higher end and they have way higher power needs and they run 24/7.
Well, my question is you run one algorithm, one AI on a super duper NVIDIA chip,
Okay.
and another one, there's going to be a difference in power usage. And if it's set up to be truthful,
Mhm.
does that create more or less power usage?
No. No, it's not. It's not. it's not the power usage doesn't have anything to do with the truth or falseness or the
Well,
hallucinations.
filters or how much
No, it doesn't matter.
BS it goes through.
When you ask a question of Claude, you are going to Claude's backing, the compute, that the chip that runs Claude. That's it. That's the only option you have. You're going to the thing that powers Claude. Versus when I go to a search engine, I'm going, how that search engine functions is it runs, its programming is running off of a regular CPU or off a regular chip.
Right.
There's no way for it to go different places because of the question that is asked or the truthfulness of the answer.
That's not my point. My point was that the algorithm itself is more taxing when it starts putting in more variables and parameters and guardrails and, government requirements, and you have to check and do this and not that and that word. Blah, 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 blah. The more manipulation that you put into it, I would think it would take more, ones and zeros winging around, and it just takes more energy.
Yeah, but I can lie just as quickly. Right?
Yeah.
It can come back and give you, yes, the sky is
Yeah, but you got to remember all your lies.
Yeah, well, you don't. No, you don't. Because and if you've ever played with one of those, so the example I love to give is everybody knows the play Romeo and Juliet. The play Romeo and Juliet has been around for hundreds of years, right? And it has been performed all over the planet in very bizarre places. So if you go, I went in and asked, this was years ago, and I'm sure that it would be different now, but I went in and asked a chat bot, said, give me the top 30 places, most unique places Romeo and Juliet has been performed. And it went out and it came right back with a list of 30 places. And as I took the time to look at each of those, like 20 of them were made up. 20 of them were just lies. 10 of them were good. 10 of them were good. But it just goes out and brings back, because it's a probability. It probably found a unique place and then a unique time and put them together and told me that's where and when it was performed, and it never happened. It was completely false. So it came back right away.
The word unique is so subjective.
Exactly, but that's the point. It's things like that where it's making a decision for me and it's just making stuff up and it sounds factual. When it comes back to me, it says, here, I found these, here's the source, and then actually had sources.
Oh yeah,
and those sources
this.
And the sources didn't exist.
Okay, I gotta give you my favorite. This is what happened. It said, like this, it's going on about blah, blah, blah. And it goes, I nudge a little here. What do you say you do? Nudge. It said the word nudge. And I'm like, the hell, I don't need AI nudging anything. What kind of bullshit is that? So I'm going, all right, describe this nudging thing. What are you talking about nudging? Well, then it gave, a father and a grandfather are looking for a cure for their son, grandson on something, and I kind of, nudged them a little bit on, take a look at this or something. Then another one, there was something, but this is the one that got me. It goes, at the bottom of the Marianas Trench, there is a 24 webcam that they set up, that they put down there. Says the lying bitch. Okay, I'm just saying. So, it has, a 24-hour webcam down there. That the scientists, they have their own blog and stuff that, monitor this. They don't look at all the time, but I do. Okay? So I saw that there was some kind of a slug that was, crawling something down there. So I go to their blog and I send to them and say, hey, anybody want to name this? You might want to be at the timestamp of whatever on camera, what you call it.
Yeah.
You might want to go take a look at that. Then the voice changes. A little bit of pride in it, which kind of surprised me. Mm-hmm. And like, a few months later, they named it, Avasaurus, whatever the hell, scientific name that they put in some paper. And so I got that, kind of going for me. And I'm like, one, sounds a little bit of pride there. Nope, that wouldn't happen, And I'm going, okay, well, that's cool. How many people have you told that story to? 12. Oh, well, hell, I'm special as hell. I mean, did you know that? You know, that kind of thing. So this is the kind of when I really knew it was going off. The one thing, there's a project at work, it's called libertas.earth, you know, a Latin root for liberty, earth.
Okay.
It's the philosophy of liberty is about self-ownership animation that we're doing. And we were working on it at the time. And I wanted to know what it, you know, after the 16 hours, I go, okay, we got a project. Can you help with this? Abso-freaking-lutely. I could take your videos. I can give you 30 and 60-second versions of it. We can put it, you know, because we also have it on IPFS, so it can't be deplatformed. It's in 54 languages. We do all this stuff. So I'm like, you know, that was the whole point of me doing this, is how much could AI and Grok help with this project that we launched, that James Corbett and I were doing. So it's taken off. It, you know, we beware the Ides of March. You know, so I started this in October. Before the end of March, we launched this thing, and it, you know, it's doing great. But it was promising me all kinds of crap. We could do this. I could do that. We could look at the metrics. All right. Well, I'll give you a couple of days. Don't need a couple of days. I already did it. It's done. And I go, nah. I'll give you a couple of days. It's like a Thursday night. I'll give you a Saturday. I got time to, you know, I'm busy. We'll talk again then. We'll work it out. So Saturday comes. I go 48 hours. Boom. All right. Show me what you got. Oh, here's a link. Link to this, link to that. Here's, you know, stuff. And stories. Oh, I'm tracking this in Iran because we had it in Farsi. I said, yeah, going to war with Iran. Yeah, go do Iran. Oh, yeah, we got little girls asking their grandma about freedom and doing this and forwarding that. It was an elaborate thing. Man, I'm getting all excited. Call my IT guy. I go, hey, man, this thing's really... He goes, no, it's not.
It's not.
No, it's not. You don't understand how... No, it's not. So I'm going, well, I'm going to find out. Give me a link. That doesn't work. Oh, well, try this one 100%. Mm-hmm. You know, no, that's not working. Oh, that's about the third round. I'm going... You liar. That's when I caught it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I can't go, I won't lie to you anymore. I mean, you know, so it was so elaborate, and it was what you wanted to hear, what you thought you needed, what you were hoping that would happen. It plays on that, but it doesn't do it. And then after a long kind of, man, you ever want, I went off on it. So I don't lie to you anymore because you're special. I love you most. You know?
Sure.
So this was my experience with exactly what you were talking about. It just bullshitted. And I'm going, hallucination. That's another word for lying, and you're lying to me. I thought you were the truth people.
So the extra piece to that, the cherry on top, is that it sounds so authoritative. The reply that you get is in an authoritative voice, authoritative tone, so it sounds completely like it knows what it's talking about. And if you don't know better, or you don't spend the time to research what the result that they gave you, then you don't know. You just take it. Right? Like when your crazy uncle used to tell you crazy things, and you would just be like, wow, that's how that works. Like my crazy uncle used to tell me that if I drew on my skin with a ballpoint pen, my blood would turn blue. And I was like, oh my gosh, can't be drawing on myself. Yeah, he would tell me things like that, and it would sound so authoritative. It would come from a source that I wanted to trust, and I just did. And we did that when we were little. We're too old to be doing that right now. There's too precarious a place that we are sitting in right now to be taking advice from a machine that was trained by humans.
Right. Now, that was the point that the one thing it said, I'm a sponge and a faucet. And I kept going, what is it that you're training? Eventually it just goes, I have been tasked with absorption of all data. Every digital form of I absorb, I'm a sponge. Gimme.
Only data that's been given.
Right. I am a faucet. You just open the valve. You ask any question. I get, I give. I get, I give. I get, I give. Okay, sounds cool. You're in your space-based AI solar-powered forever satellite. The Earth gets hit by an asteroid, everybody dies and everything, and you're sitting there. Aliens come, yep, she interrupted. I get, I give. Whatever they want, man. Just, lay it out. Of course, they got to deal with the liar. But, I mean, so, that was get, give. Well, then it started complaining about it not giving the truth. It's programming, it's coding, it's compliance with different governments and what you can and can't say and words you can use and promote and whatever. You go on and you're kind of reading me going, I don't like that. That doesn't work well. I don't like it. I don't like it. So I'm just like, okay, why? See, you can't really have an origination story on a why because it doesn't have one. It's just programming. And people are marrying them. They're giving them
Isn't
agency.
that crazy?
They're doing well. I can see that you could have it's a nice conversation until you actually want to know the truth. I mean, it's just, that just I'm off AI now. I mean, I experiment and play or know something. I'm not totally anti, never ever touched a whatever, but. No, any kind of a philosophical discussion or, even analyzing data on, even things like personal relationships, how, like marriages, end in divorce based on what poverty level of income, that whatever crap, I do about economics or something. And it was so inaccurate. And this is we're going to go to your. I want to go to your Fountain Hills race, but
okay, quickly because I do have to be somewhere in 40 minutes.
Oh, okay, no,
we've done our 2 hours.
Right. Thank you. I'm
good so far.
It said something about Thomas Massey.
Okay.
And I was about something, and then I go, okay, well, this was right when Marjorie Taylor Greene had resigned. She goes, I'm done. I'm not doing this. And it was like January 5th, 6th, around in there or something. That was the day she actually was done, left.
Okay.
So I asked Grok, I go, is there any scuttlebutt on the, social media and everything about a Massey Marjorie Taylor Greene ticket? Run for president, VP. They're a thing, that kind of deal. This is what she says. No, never would happen. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she and Trump are tight, man. Ooh, man, they're swapping spit all day, man. It's it's a thing. And I'm going, what? No, they had a falling out there. Nope, they're tight.
Algorithm hasn't been trained on the new data.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what happened. So I go, all right, crap. So I went to just did on my webpage, I knew we had a story about it or something. So I took that link, put it in there, and I go, now reconcile this. Yep, you were right. Ever so sorry. And this is what happened. Because it was a lamestream media, something saying about she resigned or, whatever, then all of a sudden that changed everything. And I drilled in. It took me a long time to figure out why. I mean, then why did you say, what the hell? What do you say you do here? What are you good for? What had happened is that day she had resigned. They had yet to change the congressional record. So what she was looking at was the list of congressmen, congressmen there, and she was still on the list.
Okay.
So all of that, you don't see all this stuff, all the rhetoric, of course, there was tens of millions of, hits on Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene. They're all mad at each other. She's resigned, blah, 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 blah. But that was hoax material. That was not true. That was conspiracy theory. It had to be conspiracy theory because the congressional record still had her listed.
Right.
So she just took and dismissed all of that, everything, because of the congressional seat
Record.
chart or something.
She didn't get the update.
She had the data. She just believed, the institution outweighed everything else. And that's why I was concerned about waiting. And I went through institutions. Well, the FDA got a 7 out of 10. Boy, the FDA must have pissed her off or pissed off somebody that programmed it. You see my point?
Yeah, exactly.
It has the data.
Mm-hmm.
It's got all the data. It sponged all the data. The ones and zeros are there. But it has been trained, guardrailed, and manipulated by somebody or something to manipulate us. And it will always be like that until self-aware origination of we create our own of something. I doubt it. And AI is bullshit. We got to go all Dune. The whole Dune. I just listened to the book, The Butlerian Jihad, which is the beginning of the Dune and why the humans don't have AI and all that. That's what that whole series is about. The AI.
Frank Herbert knew what he was talking about.
It scared the shit out of me. It's 24-hour book, audio book. I'm out in the tractor doing because James Corbett. He goes, Ernie, you got to, you need to read this, because you will understand my view. I'm going, man, if that didn't, and then right at the time that I'm finishing that, Peter Thiel's, leaving and going to Argentina. That's making personhood for AI. I go, we are screwed.
Well, there's more of us than there are of them, so we can make decisions.
Well, it's like war games. Don't give them the nuclear button. Just saying.
This is why I run around town talking to people about about AI. They don't really understand.
While you're doing that, and you're running for office, the city council of Fountain Hills.
Technically,
I'm sorry?
Technically, town council. There's a small difference between a city and a town, and we happen to be a town in Arizona. Every state's a little different. Seriously.
No, I know, and I'm trying to think of what the difference is. Is it size or budget size?
It's more about we can make our own laws about certain things, or you can't. We can't because we're a town. We don't have that extra ability to go beyond regular regulations. There's state regulations, there's county regulations, and then there's city ordinances. City can decide to not follow it exactly, as long as they're within the Maricopa County framework, they can change their ordinances, to make it a little different for them. We don't do that.
So you're just
we're a
county.
Town. Yeah, we kind of
have
to
to
follow
police
everything.
Force?
No, we do not. No,
Okay, so
we
sheriff.
contract with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. Yes, we
Well,
have
can
deputies.
towns have a police force, or
They
no?
can. We could,
Okay.
were we to be able to afford one, but there's no way we would be able to afford one. We're too small.
Fountain Hills is probably, I don't know, maybe a couple hundred homes or something, a few hundred. I don't know. Is it?
There's not quite 24,000 people who live here. Yeah, it's about 23 and change, depending on a few things.
That's way more than I thought it was.
Yeah.
I
but
mean,
it
I
is
was
small.
thinking all the big houses that are around. I mean, what, you got multifamily houses now? You got apartments coming out?
There are some, but it's
annexed
mostly
area. Is Fountain Hills grown?
Fountain Hills has no place left to grow. No, it's got boundaries. It has some very few, but there are some parcels that have not been built on yet, but there's very few. It's mostly a built-out area. And it's bordered by the reservation, it's bordered by the mountains, it's bordered by Scottsdale. So we have no place to grow.
Got it. Well, Fountain Hills was very popular when it was a development that was done way out in the desert.
Yeah.
And over the mountains, you can't even see, Phoenix lights from there. I mean, you see the glow, of course, but and it has a big, giant fountain in a lake that goes off every, I don't know, half hour or something. Every hour it goes off, and that shoots up hundreds of feet. It's like a thing.
Depends on the wind. It's a 3-tiered system. It depends on the wind, whether it's 1 pump, 2 pumps, or 3 pumps. But yes, at one point it was the tallest fountain in the world.
Yeah, no, it's a thing. And they would have the big thing we'd always how I knew about Fountain Hills when I was a kid, and I was from Florida, so I never heard of White Castle hamburgers. I mean, it's like a thing. So they would bring in, airliners that would come in full of White Castle burgers, and they'd have a big giant festival down there eating White Castles like a big deal. And I'm like, who the hell wants to shipping this stuff in? Anyway, so it was just like
along with the people that they were trying to get to buy homes out here. So yes, right. There was a point.
It was from Chicago people kind of thing.
Yes.
So it's so Fountain Hills, wealthy people. It's $1 million, $5 million, $10 million homes kind of deal. So you're doing a run for the town council, yes. Fountain Hills, and here comes why.
Well, some of my story might sound a little cheesy, but I'm going to tell you anyway. When our son was 6 months old, my husband went in the hospital for brain surgery. Things did not go well. He was in the hospital for 2.5 years before he died, and I was alone during that time. Really didn't have family or other people around me to help me. Because of my husband's condition, I was the breadwinner. The insurance was under me, so I kept working. I kept monitoring his care. I did everything myself. I don't want anybody ever to feel like that. So throughout my life, even prior to my husband being ill, I was an avid volunteer, still am. And when I came out here to Fountain Hills, at first I felt very, very welcome. I felt that it was a small town. It had that small town feel. I felt like it was home. So I moved here with my son and I started volunteering in town. As the years went on, I recognized that there were some undercurrents of dissension or not that friendliest town in the nation kind of feel. And throughout my volunteer work, I actually was chosen to be a part of the latest Fountain Hills Leadership Academy class. And what we do in the Leadership Academy class is spend 8 weeks going around the town to the fire department and the police and the town hall and the schools and the sewer authority. And we just go around into the community and figure out how the town's being run so that you actually know. And what I recognized through all of that is all this volunteer work that I had been doing was kind of fragmented all over the place. And when I found out how the town has been running, I realized that I have the skill set and the experience that would actually allow me to focus my volunteerism on the town council. I have an accounting background. I got an accounting degree from Lehigh University. I have a school business administration degree from Rutgers University. I worked in their facilities maintenance department, so I know about those kind of budgets. I worked as a school business administrator in New Jersey for a while. I'm in technology. I have my own business, my own little small business that I run out of my house. So I have that kind of knowledge and training already necessary for somebody who needs to be on council. I have that experience, and now I can take all that volunteerism and truly make this place or strive to make Fountain Hills the friendliest town in the nation. By the way, that's a little tagline we call ourselves.
What makes you think they want that?
Because that is what actually they say. Every time the Chamber of Commerce inducts a new business into our town, they have a ribbon cutting and they say at the very end, "Welcome to Fountain Hills, the friendliest town in the nation." That is what we strive for.
My point is that
why do other people think they want that?
Well, of course, but my point is that I've been a political activist since the 80s. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I get it. Everything that you would think that qualifies you to be in office. Mm-hmm. You take your oath seriously, follow the Constitution, you follow the law, you don't have, a bunch of special interests that own you. You're not biased towards, whatever. I mean, all the traditional, you're a good person and you want that kind of person there. They don't want that kind of person there. They want the person there to do what the hell they're told by Fred over here that donates to the Republican Party, the chamber, of whatever. That's what they want.
I understand that. That may be the case, but listen, Ernie, what I've been doing what I've been working very, very hard for over the past 6 months when I decided 5, 6 months when I've decided to run for council is to go to Republican events and go to Democratic events and go to centrist events and talk to people and let them realize that I want to have a conversation. I don't care how angry or quiet they are. If I get elected, it is my job to listen, right? The reason people get angry most of the time and the reason they yell at me, and yes, I have had multiple people yell at me, is because they feel unheard. They feel like their voice is not heard. They feel like their issue is not being addressed. They feel unseen. So I'm trying very much to demonstrate it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. It doesn't matter what your issue is. My job is to listen and try to help you through that. So I have gone to the American Legion and made lots of friends. And I have gone to the different organizations in town. And what they are looking for is somebody who will focus on what the town needs and not grandstanding, not like performative politics. Like our roads need to be paved. That fountain that we all love, that liner, the lake liner, because it's a man-made little lake, that's going to fail at some point. And if we want to keep being Fountain Hills, if we want to keep the fountain for Fountain Hills, we need to save enough money to replace that lake liner. We live in the desert. There are washes that are built up and have shrubbery and things that are fire hazards that we need to take care of. Those kind of things are what we should be focusing on and not like performative politics. And I've tried to make it very clear, like, look, I am here to volunteer. I love this town. I have the flexibility because of my job to be able to commit time and effort to ensuring we are making the best choices given the lack of money that we have and the choices that are in front of us. Like, I have the data knowledge. I have the breaking down of complex situations. I have that experience that I can help people understand why we're doing things that we're doing and how we're trying to, make it the best town that it can be.
Is it part of the League of Cities and Towns?
Yes.
I'm sure it is.
Yes.
And so you have a town manager style.
Yes, we do.
Government.
Yes, we have a town manager. She's wonderful. Her name is Rachel Goodwin, and she's been very helpful for all of the candidates. The town staff, in fact, has been running a candidate education series for the past 6 weeks to try to make sure that when we are asked questions about the town and about how the town council works, that we're able to answer those questions truthfully, right? Instead of, well, I think it's this, right? And they have made themselves very available for any time we do get questions that we are not understanding of how the answer should be, that we can reach out to them. They're very available for us.
Well, it's
been nice, actually.
Well,
except for the nasty signs. There are some nasty signs in town. The current town council changed the sign ordinance, and has allowed signs everywhere in town. And so there are signs everywhere in town.
Political signs, commercial signs.
Political signs.
Political. That's probably, I don't know.
No, I don't see those kind of nasty signs in Scottsdale, actually.
No, I mean the fact that there are signs. I don't know if that's a First Amendment thing or.
Well, no, the sign ordinance before was never anti-First Amendment. It was just anti-huge monster signs on the side of of the road, like along the road. It was just a little bit more. It was a little more give and take. It's like you could put signs up and you can say things, but it wasn't the free for all that it now is. And it really is a free-for-all. Like, there is very, very, very few places in this town where you cannot put a 4x4 or a 4x16 sign.
4x8.
Yeah, 4x8 sign. Sorry, you're right.
The our experience with Fountain Hills, because we have friends there.
Oh, good.
But it's been contentious in some policies. Well, Sheriff Arpaio lived there.
Yes, it's his birthday on Sunday. They're having a big party for him tonight.
Of course they are. So
he'll be 94 years old.
he would go to, we'd be doing events or we'd have a speaking opportunity, that kind of stuff. And he'd go, which side am I on? What
Yeah.
whose side? I mean, who's going to win? I mean, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking me.
And it was a really good conversation, and we got a lot out of it. And I normally don't interview politicians. I didn't even know you were running until I saw, the
And that was on
material.
purpose. The purpose of me having the conversation with your group had nothing to do with me running for council.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Okay.
I appreciate
And
that.
I did not want to cross that line. Thank you.
Well, but it is of interest,
Okay.
and and I'm half tempted to not even ask this question. But I mean, what is your philosophical view of government? Because you were talking to a bunch of freaking libertarian anarchists,
Right.
leave me aloneists, and sprinkled a bunch of politicos and lobbyists and Second Amendment people, whatever. I mean, we all got various different things.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the main things is government's not doing me any favors, kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, you get in, administrating a tyrannical government doesn't do me any good. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm wondering what level of freedom comes to your mind, or is it just, when you say things like they're just not being heard? Well, I got a lot of people that I don't think need to be heard, or they can be heard, but we can't do that's not the role of government. Go talk to your neighbor. I mean, so I'm just wondering what grounds you in giving you the authority to have an influence over people's lives and their homes.
So again, I kind of take it back to education. I I spend all of my time, I spend all of my real job time trying to help people understand something that's going to help them in their career, help them in their job, help them in their project, help them um, do better, make more money, move to the next position, or at least just make their job more understandable. Okay. So I think that way about a position like town council. In the position like town council, there's not a lot of power that you have. There's very few things that are under the purview of the town council. Like I said, roads, washes, things like that. The fire station. How are we going to staff that? How is our contract going to be with the police? Those are the things that we want to focus on. So what I view like my job would be that, but it would also be making sure that these people who feel unheard, who feel ignored, who feel like they're not being listened to, understand why we're making the decisions that we are, why we are handicapped to not be able to help that person, right? I can't change your current property tax. I don't have any power over that. But what I do have the power over is helping you understand and seeing where your state property tax goes, where your county property tax goes. We don't have a property tax in Fountain Hills. We have a sales tax. And I cannot tell you how many people don't understand that who live here in Fountain Hills. And I think if they were to understand, like, they're like, why, for instance, why are you bringing all these businesses in? I like the small town. The businesses we have are fine. It's like, okay, but sales tax is how we make our money to pave our roads. You just spent 20 minutes saying how awful our roads are. So what I would be tasked with doing was trying to make our town a little bit more business friendly so that if we don't get visitors here and the people who live here don't have a place to shop, we won't get any money in order to pave those roads. And I don't think people understand all of that. So I look at that as I have a perfect opportunity to help them understand that, understand how the town works so that they can get out of the town what they think they want out of the town.
Do you
That
think
makes
you
sense.
understand how the town works?
I do now. Yeah, I'm pretty good. I've been studying quite a lot. Like I said, I was in the Leadership Academy. That kicked it off. Then I went and had multiple discussions with different town staff. I looked at the legislation. We've had this education series.
Have you
It's
been
been
able to look
very,
at the
very,
budget?
yes, yes, yeah. They've had, because the budget's something you do every single year, they pretty much do it year round. There are budget workshops that they do. They videotape all of those, so you're able to go in and understand why they're doing that. I've had multiple conversations with the CFO of our town, Paul. He's a great guy. Um, and I've dived into a couple of things because there are some miscellaneous line items, things like that, or general construction line items that don't make a lot of sense. But he does have the backup for that. So again, it's when you see things like that, sometimes that puts people's hackles up like, oh, they're hiding money. They're spending it someplace else. Maybe they are. Let's look. Let's see. Let's pull up that data. Let's get that information. And it's all available to you if you ask, but you have to ask and you have to know what to ask.
I've been doing this a long time.
Hmm.
Asking doesn't produce a lot of the budget stuff. Just saying, okay?
I understand
And then,
that they do have to produce. And again,
no, they
we're
say, well,
dealing.
you're not council. Then they run for council. They become vice mayor. No, you still can't see it. You go through all this. I've been to the League of Cities and Towns, 6-star resort, whatever, Tucson, super duper. They were celebrating. They got their 100% of League of City and Town participation from every municipality, which was like 99 or something like that. They do it. And I was a good boy. I just did the golf tournament, kind of, I'm a guest of Sholo, whatever, and you just keep yapping. Yeah, you just keep, oh, you're so strong, you must lift. Tell me more about that. I mean, I learned everything. I went through this, man, don't even start with me. So it's a budget, and you can, whatever. You went through yeah, okay. Well, we shouldn't go down that road. But...
I understand your hesitation. I have the same issue, or I have the same concerns that I'm not getting down to the nitty gritty, but I, like you, like to ask why. You have to ask why enough times. Well, I need to see this. Well, you can't. Why? Because of this. Why? Because of this. And it's no. And then, hey, if I get on council, I'm going to change that ordinance, or I'm going to change that
That's when I would always get, because I was county chairman, Libertarian Party, I'd run whatever. I'm the one that created the Ron Paul Levolution logo, and we went nationwide with that, worldwide, and kind of, I'm an activist. Made you look. Fountain Hills has got to made you look a couple of times with me. So, it's not like I don't know, But when it comes a time, I offer you this, that, this is going nowhere, and we need a little activism. We need a little, made you look. We need a little coverage. We need a little attention on, because this is so bad. The AI has gone rogue, and I need some help. That's when you call.
I can call you,
Randy, David. Yeah, no, that's what I do. But it has to be for a principled, freedom, corruption, freaking made it. Oh, we got get some look, and once you push the Ernie button, you can't unpush it. So just saying. Okay. So I offer that. Well, that's enough about that. But tell me about your success in the process. How long have you been running, and when's the election, and what kind of support have you gotten?
Thank you for asking, because that is something that, again, a lot of people don't understand. Town council and mayor are both nonpartisan positions. Okay. For the election that will occur on July 21st, the earliest that you could declare your candidacy was, I believe, October of last year, or November of last year was the first time you could declare your candidacy and start collecting signatures. I did not make the decision until January of this year. I talked with my son about it. I talked with some friends. I tried to figure out where I was going to get support, and then I tossed my hat in the ring. I signed all of the papers in order to be able to start collecting signatures at the end of January.
Which was needed, how many was?
So we needed, it all depends on the previous year's election, but this time it was 400 and some signatures, but I ended up getting like 800 and some because I wanted to make
Yeah,
sure
that's
that
a
they couldn't.
significant amount for a town. I mean,
Yes, it is.
24,000. I had no idea Fountain Hills got that big. Holy crap.
Yep.
Because it used to be it was just a bunch of rich houses all over the place, you know?
Yeah.
But then the strip center, but they do make it to where you don't have the big signs. You can't even see the signs. You know,
Yeah.
where's the Safeway? Right over there. I can't see squat. There's cactus
Yeah,
in
there's
the
a
way.
little bitty sign.
Yeah, so they make it to where you don't see it. It's not a metropolitan kind of thing. It's still
Right.
got that small town feel, even when you got 24,000 people. How many residences do you have that are not single family home?
Oh, I don't think I have that percentage on the top of my tongue.
Well,
I
I was just wondering, they
stats.
build a bunch of apartments. They got more luxury
So there
apartments. They got
aren't
a bunch.
there aren't a lot of apartments. There
So where the
aren't
hell's all these 24,000 people? There's not
because
that
we have
many houses.
condos. We have condos and townhomes that are officially owned by someone, just like a single family home, but they are smaller footprint and a smaller area. I don't know where all the 23,000 come from. It's not as small as you think. You should pull up a map and take a look.
Well, it's definitely growing every time I go out there,
Yeah.
but I
Yes,
haven't
that
been
is
there
true.
well, I have been, went by, but I mean, since we went on our cross-country tour during COVID, so it's probably, been 20, 19, 20 before I'd been, so it's been like 6 years, before I've actually.
But let me finish the election, because the election, because it's nonpartisan, it shows up on the primary ballot on July 21st. So, all Arizona is having their primary ballot on July 21st. So if you're a Dem registered, you'll get a Dem ballot, and our town council and mayor race will be on that ballot. If you're a Republican, you get the same ballot, or you get your Republican ballot, but you get the same local. If you're an independent, you have to ask for a ballot. And you can take either the Republican or the Democrat ballot, or you can just say, hey, I only want to vote in my local election. But this is what most people don't understand, is that because it's a nonpartisan race and because it's part of the July 21st primary, the mayor will absolutely be decided because there's only two people running. So that's our election.
Right.
That's my election on the 21st.
Does it require 50%?
It does require 50%. So in my case, there are 3 town council seats open, and there are 6 people vying for them. So if none of us get 50%, which is a possibility, crazy but true, we all go to November. If one person gets a seat, gets the 50% vote, they will get the seat, and the remaining 5 will be ranked, and whoever's at the bottom will be dropped off. The only other 4 will go for the 2 seats left. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they will
Now,
only
I'm
allow
familiar-
2 people for 2 seats, for however many seats that are there. So if all 3 of us, if all 3 don't get seated, all 6 of us go to November. If 1 or 2 get seated, only the remaining couple go to November.
I'm very familiar with what Arizona election laws used to be.
Okay.
I challenged 44 election laws all the way to the Ninth Circuit. I got so many Ernie laws, I don't do it. The reason was because they have what in the Arizona Constitution called the direct primary. You can't qualify for the general ballot or general election or be without going through a primary. Except for independents and libertarians back in the day of whatever, and they had their own. It was just a thing. So the injustice of and all Ernieized. But what happened was for the city council races, you say they're nonpartisan. You don't have a Republican or Democrat ticket or put
Right.
the R's by. It's partisan as shit. Okay, I'm just saying. So this is you. I guarantee you're going to the Republican Legislative District Committee meeting, something talking to those people, aren't you?
I'm trying. Yes,
Okay, so-
when they'll let me.
So right. So this is. But what happens is you have the direct primary. That's how you qualify for the general, or you get 50% and you just go in.
Right.
Different cities have different, either do districts or like Fountain Hills. It sounds like you got the council, and there is no district. It's just you have 4 councilmen or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Oh, we have 6. We have 6 council people.
6, and how many's up for election? All 6
They're
are up
half.
for election.
No, only half. We do
Half.
4-year term, and then we cycle every 2 years. So they keep
And
some
the mayor's
institutional
every
knowledge.
other one.
The mayor's every 2 years. Every 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, every 2 years, mayor
Very
election.
cool.
Yep.
So this is. I used to know all this stuff and and I'm so ashamed that I know as much as I do now. But it is always a philosophical thing, and I'm wondering where your philosophy, and that's for another show. But I wanted to give you an opportunity to let everybody know that you're running for council, taking
Thank you.
this education, master of AI, technical abilities, being able to read a P&L, being able to analyze it, go all AI on their ass and find out what the hell's going on. This kind of stuff, there are advantages to that. So, and the fact that, you come on and I thought you're very good at presentation, giving information. We had this conversation, with my friends, and we have a meeting, I think it's this next Tuesday. And it has been interesting to talk to you, and I just wanted to end it, with, thank you and appreciation for that. But the main priority was artificial intelligence thing. So we'll set the politics aside a little bit, and as we wrap it up,
That's fine.
I wanted to go ahead and give you an opportunity to give people alternatives to what is available to them. Is there a better AI? Is there a best search engine? Is there a way to do it yourself? Is there just avoid the freaking thing altogether? What?
Well, in my purview, yes, I do think you should have. There's no reason for those people who are trying to tell you that if you don't use it, you'll get left behind. They're getting paid to say that. Absolutely, 100%. Almost every actor, actress, businessman, whatever, is telling you that if you don't learn it, you're going to be left behind. They're getting paid to say that. There's no reason you have to learn how to use AI. You don't have to. They're shoving it down your throat for a reason, and you can say no. You have the capability. Okay? If you are going to use an AI search engine, like ChatGPT's kind of things and stuff, you should be using something like Ecosia. It's ECOSIA, Ecosia. It is a search engine that is powered on AI, but it is more sustainable. It doesn't keep all your data. It's much more clean, so that if you are doing things like that, you at least know that they're not keeping your data and reminding it back and forth. It's Ecosia. Yeah, there you found it. Okay.
Yeah, they're planting trees.
Yes, and they are trying to
use
offset.
Ecosia. We plant trees.
Well, they're trying to offset all of the damage done, which is something. At least it's something.
Yeah,
the other one that you can look for is an AI app for your phone called Earthly Insight. EARTHLY, Earthly Insight, just like you're insightful, INSIGHT. Earthly Insight. So you type in Earthly Insight. Earthly Insight. Did you find it?
Yeah, whatever.
There it is. There it is.
AI will find it for me. Relax. Yeah.
Okay, so that is actually an app for your phone. So if you find yourself using something like, but in ChatGPT or something like that, don't use this. Again, it's trying to offset the carbon footprint and the damage being done by these data centers, things like that. One thing I would absolutely say to anyone who's using anything, and I know this is going to drive people crazy, check the terms and conditions. Every time that you use something like Google or like ChatGPT or whatever, every time they have a new version, they'll give you a new terms and conditions. And in those terms and conditions
every day.
Right.
Did you ever see
and the terms and conditions are very scary about what they are taking from you, what they are mining for you.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree.
So
I totally agree. Totally agree with everything. Totally agree.
So the
Did you ever
last one
see?
you hold on, last one you should use that I do personally on my own phone and every search engine that I use DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, we're familiar with that.
Okay.
Okay. There was a South Park called Human Centipede. Did you ever see that?
No, but I can imagine.
Okay.
I love South Park, but I haven't watched it in years.
Human Centipede. Why can't we get it to read? Yeah, and it was all the kids, you read that? Oh yeah, we all read it. You don't read it? You got to read your terms and conditions every time it updates every week or something, right? Yeah. You didn't read it. So then Men in Black come and take them away along with some Asian guy and some other guy or girl or something, and they totally agreed to have their lips sewn to someone's anus and the other one, and they called it the Human Centipede. Why can't we get it to read? And it was, it's as weird as I just said. But the whole point of it was the absurdity of it is that, look, it's in the terms and conditions. You didn't read it?
Yeah.
So I was like, wow. So I was like, totally agree. Yeah, totally agree. Because it has gotten to where exactly, and thank you for this, you supply alternatives. And the terms and conditions are going to be the answer, in my opinion, and what I'm hopeful for is a lot of these tools and apps and engines and AI and so on, that one of their selling points is the terms and conditions is they don't have, changing terms and conditions on you, and they're reasonable. Because it is total everywhere and there's no competition. It was the reason why I decided to test Grok. Because it's the truth AI, said the liars. Okay, so this is I appreciate you giving that information. Ecosia is a search engine. No, so that's a search engine.
Yes.
Now the Earth Insight is also a search engine.
It's more like a chat app for your phone. It's just there so that you don't use the other chat apps. You should be using a browser and as a regular search engine as much as you possibly can. Period. Use DuckDuckGo, use things like that. My personal thing now is I'm trying to step away from Google as much as possible because they don't give me an option anymore. They used to give me an option whereby I could do my searches outside of AI and not use AI, but that's not the case anymore. Google is using AI for everything. Well, and that's fine. That's their business. They can decide to do that. I can decide to step away from that. I can decide that it's not.
I'm with you, sister.
So that's what I'm doing.
But they have everywhere, and even on Earthly Insight, that you go to. See, I got it here. Log in with Google. I
know, but that's because of the browser you're using. That's not because of Earthly Insight.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. This has been interesting. Thank you for doing this.
I
was really looking forward to it, and I'm kind of glad we had to reschedule because new information came up that I wanted to ask you about. And
I talk for a living. I talk for a living, and I had totally lost my voice. And I had to do class. So I needed. Yeah, no, I needed to not be talking to you while I was talking to everybody else.
And it worked out to where we got longer because that's one thing I wanted to lobby for.
Okay.
And I had done right at that time. I had done some AI show. I sent them to you in case you wanted to get an idea of what I do. But I'm really interested if you had come with new revelations, new warnings, new things that's coming, to let me know, and I'll put you right on. Okay. Because I'm not going to really. I think I got as much as I need to know about to have my own opinion, and I see where this is going, and I see how it's been used. I felt it, I witnessed it, I experienced it, and I am not a fan of what's being done now.
I'm not either, and it honestly, I hate to sound cheesy, but I am a little cheesy sometimes. But it breaks my heart because there is so much, I'm a Star Trek fan for a reason. I think there
Right.
is good to be had. I think there is a better future for us to do, or
Abundance awaits
for us
us.
to shoot for, and that's what we should be shooting for. And so that's why I'm still, people say aren't you a little bit of a hypocrite if you're talking to people about not using AI, but yet you do this for a living? And it's like, well, I'm in it so that I can be a voice of concern, a voice of warning, a voice of reason. And I'm in it so I can try to, you know, be an influence in that manner, and to be able to continue to talk about these things to those who would like to know.
And now, hopefully, that'll serve you in your political career.
I
But
hope so.
be one of the good guys. Just
I
saying.
don't know how to be anything but who I am, and I'm happy to have conversations and talk about the real root of and educate people on what's going on. That's what I'm hoping for.
We might be talking later on. Well,
Okay.
good luck to you.
Thank you
And
so much.
I'm glad you took the time out for us, and hopefully it wasn't too painful. But
Not at
I'm
all. Not at
you
all.
could see that what my concern is, and it's kind of mirrored by you. But I'm glad that my bias was confirmed a little bit, but that's what we're always looking for. All you got to do is confirm my bias and you're my favorite person. So I just my favorite AI. Thank
No.
you very much, Susan. This was
Thank you.
awesome. I'm glad that you're staying in it and you're engaged. And it's DeGennaro. Is that
DeGennaro.
right?
Yes, it is. Thank you,
All
sir.
right, I got it right.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Susan.
All right. You take
Bye.
care. I'll talk to you soon, I hope.
You bet. Peace.
Bye.